Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Blue Blood Season 10 finale discussion. We're already at the finale. Where did the time go?
Yeah, it's such a strange time out there, but here we are.
Yeah, this was not, by the way, written to be the finale. This was supposed to just be episode 19 entitled Family Secrets. It was only supposed to inch us closer to something, which all Blue Bloods episodes do. Sometimes it's like a millimeter forward. Sometimes we barely move at all.
It's true, but after reading the synopsis, it seems like maybe there could be a little bit of something that might feel a little bit like a season finale.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's big stuff for Eddie in this episode, and maybe she and Jamie are going to have some discussions on their future. And speaking of future, Sean Reagan, amateur detective? Is it going to lead to Sean Reagan, professional detective? Is the Blue Bloods revival 15 years down the road being set up right now? We'll talk you through all of it, but before we do, if you guys do like this finale preview, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates.
So I'm pretty excited about this episode because the last episode that we had of Blue Bloods, not a lot really happened when it came to moving forward any of the stories that we've kind of had going on this season, like ERIN and the DA thing.
Yeah.
Maybe even ERIN and the Jack thing. I mean, there's some stuff that hasn't really been moving forward in that last episode. And I still have a bit of the same sort of critique that I have for most of this season, is that there's just too many storylines going on and not enough time to really flesh them out. I'm hoping that maybe next season the show might look at something along the lines of getting maybe two really good stories and then like getting a couple different Reagans in on a story. Have like a Danny and an ERIN working on something, or, you know, Jamie and Eddie working something to do with Frank. Like, let's get one or two stories and have everybody together, because then we get good stories fleshed out, all the Reagans kind of working together, which is always good TV.
Yeah, I think it's something that a lot of people out there really want. We all want this opportunity to actually maybe see the show change things up a little bit. You've been on a decade. You don't need to prove yourself anymore, Blue Bloods. You've shown you can do it. Let's let loose a little bit, you know. Put on the party hat. Have a good time.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like it needs to move away from being procedural and move into something more serialized. You can give us a really good case of the week that just has a couple Reagan hands in the pot so that the story gets a good due.
Well, let's talk a little bit about I think the thing people are going to be most excited about is the idea of a Jamco baby. And by Jamco, I do not mean the dog that they have inexplicably named Jamco.
And then just disappeared.
Yeah, where is Lieutenant Bark? It has been a long time. Yeah, I'm not even calling him Jamco. I refuse. But okay, now Jamie and Eddie, they are maybe going to start thinking more about having a baby after there is a discovery of a newborn outside the precinct, which maybe it'll lead to talking about adoption depending on what happens with this baby's mother. There's something kind of hinted about that in the sneak peek.
Yeah, and I mean, I've said before, and I'll say it again, I am very pro Jamco baby. I love babies. And also the idea of adoption. I love adoption. So this is hitting all the Jessica marks and giving me all the happy feels. I mean, I understand that bringing a baby into marriages on TV can be a kiss of death. It absolutely can. But there are some shows like Bones who brought in two children and it was still super exciting and it was really good and it didn't take anything away, and in fact it added to it. If you got good writers, and Blue Bloods does, they can do a lot with this.
And I think what would make it work with Blue Bloods is it's always going to be a show that's still about cops, and I don't think you're going to suddenly see 5 weeks of stories where Eddie has no cases and it's all just stuff with the baby. It is sort of like, okay, maybe we get a minute or two of the baby every episode and it sort of accents her life and Jamie's life, but it's not the sole focus. They still have other things going on as well.
Yeah, I mean, other people have kids. It's not, obviously they're a bit older kids, but they still have kids. So having a baby doesn't have to be the end. It can develop even some more storylines where there's then trying to find that balance of how do you get in the hard hours that police work has and then also still have a family and raise everybody. What are the growing pains of being parents?
My take on it right now is I do not think we will suddenly see a big decision made in this episode.
No.
I think maybe we'll see discussions that lead to a decision that would have been made. Like maybe in the actual planned season 10 finale, we could have seen Jamie and Eddie be like, okay, let's go for it. And then maybe that becomes a storyline in season 11. I still think it will be a storyline in season 11 if we have a season 11. But who are we kidding? We're going to have a season 11 unless Tom Selleck decides he just wants to grow avocados forever and do nothing else.
He can do both.
Yeah.
Like Jamco having a baby and also doing police work. I just like that, we've seen them have discussion already about whether or not they wanted to have kids or they were ready to have kids. Now it seems like maybe both are kind of on the same page. Sometimes it takes a little while for both cars to get to the finish line.
Let's do it, guys. Let's move the story along. Let's get some interesting stuff going, even if it's not in this episode. It can get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
We can start it down the hill. Speaking of things getting the ball rolling, let's talk about Sean Reagan, which is probably a phrase that we may have never said before in a Blue Bloods episode, because usually Sean's storylines are sit at the table and say something snide in the middle of family dinner.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's all Sean Reagan gets to do. And I think there was one episode where he got in trouble and he needed Eddie's help or something. But
yeah, and it's kind of interesting because every season we get one or two good Nikki episodes, but she's not around. So open opportunity for Sean Reagan to have a little more screen time. Get to know him a little bit better.
And we may get to know him as amateur detective, because after getting a match from an unknown relative from a DNA network, which I don't know what Sean Reagan is doing. Is he just trying to recreate his own episode of Finding Your Roots or something?
Maybe he's just, there's lots of people out there that are just like, hey, I'm kind of curious, and go on to DNAancestry.com, whatever, and are just like, boop, 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 boop. Oh no! And then they find out whatever, right?
I feel like you could just go to Henry Reagan for some of this. It feels like that dude probably has a giant book somewhere where he's got all the history mapped out or something. That's my read on Henry. But anyway, whatever the reasoning may be here, Sean is gonna try to figure out who this person might be, and he's going to put on that cap. He's going to get the magnifying glass. He's going to steal Danny's badge. No, I'm kidding about the last one, but I think this could be fun.
Yeah, and they have had a conversation this season about sort of, is Sean the end of the line of, getting into the police force and continuing on the family tradition. Obviously, if Jamie and Eddie are having kids, that could also be something. I still haven't ruled out Nikki completely. I like the idea of maybe, she was thinking about it, and then she went on to do this other job. Maybe this job will just kind of put a different perspective on her, because for me, the idea of having the female Reagan come in and be like, you know what, I want to be part of this and sort of carry it on is kind of exciting as the new generation, that it doesn't only have to be all the guys.
That would, and I still would be excited about that. I still think it would be cool if Nikki ends up becoming a cop rather than in the prosecutor's office. I think it's just a nice way to sort of shake things up a little bit from the mold, and maybe Sean can become a cop in his own right, and we'll see exactly where that goes. I still feel like I think we'll explore some of that, whether it is the final season of this show or whenever it may be. But he will have a big story finally to tackle. But guess what? Frank Reagan. He's got a ethical dilemma that is coming up. Everyone, prepare to be shocked.
Yep.
This time around, it has to do with a woman who shows up. She's played by Bonnie Somerville. And apparently she wants Frank to transfer her son to a safer assignment, which I don't know the backstory on this, but if I'm like this cop and his mom is like showing up somewhere and being like, can you transfer Billy to a different assignment? If I'm Billy, and I don't know if that's his name, but I feel like he's probably just going to be like, Mom, stop it!
Yeah.
You're embarrassing me in front of the other cops.
And it kind of is a little bit of an embarrassment to have your mom come in and fight your battles for you, especially in the police force. You don't, Billy, get a hold of your mom, please, and just get her to go home. I mean, even if Billy...
He is Billy now. I'm sorry, writers.
Even if he is having a hard time on an assignment, that is his decision to go to Frank or not go to Frank. Having the mom come in, I mean, just in general, having your mom come in when you're an adult at your work to try to push work stuff, it's never going to land right for the person who is the son or the daughter.
Yeah.
Like, just don't. All moms out there, don't come to your kids' work and start ordering stuff around.
Yeah, especially to Frank, because I think Frank is just gonna like give her a weird looking grimace and then tell her to go home. I don't know unless there's something more drastic buried underneath the scenes here, which maybe there is, but...
Well, I'm sure there probably is. I'm assuming that if Billy's mom is coming in here, that it's gotta be pretty serious that he would need to be transferred, that he doesn't want to speak up because he's going to end up getting all kinds of grief about it. But this should also end up causing all kinds of grief about it.
Yeah, and the only other storyline, and maybe this is Blue Bloods trying to take a cue from what you were saying earlier on, because it seems like the ERIN and the Danny storylines are going to be linked. We're going to see what happens with the murder of a key witness in one of ERIN's cases, which means Danny's going to be there to help solve things. But one of the things I always like about one of the cops working with ERIN is that she's got a very specific way she wants things done.
Yep.
Danny doesn't ever do things in the specific way other people want them to be done.
No, there's going to be some pretty good stuff going on with the two of them. I'm pretty excited about this. Danny hasn't had the best storylines this season, so I'm pretty stoked about this. This has the potential.
All of this has the potential to be a good finale and actually feel like it could be at least the suitable way to tie things up. Here's the good news. It is going to be very hard to make people as mad as last season's finale made people. So the bar is low.
Listen, don't put stuff out into the universe here that you can't take back.
Are Jamie and Andy going to start having a conversation about kids, and then like before they finish the conversation, it's going to cut off again like the wedding?
Or it could be worse, where they're having a conversation about kids, and then she's like, "Oh, you're not wanting blah, blah, blah. Get out." Cut to black. That could also be worse.
That's horrifying.
So was that wedding.
Okay, it's true. Okay, well, now that we've said all the bad juju out there, let's just hope for the best, everyone, and let us know what you want to see in the Blue Blood Season 10 finale in the comments. If you do like...
It took a dark turn.
It did take a dark turn. We gotta think about happier things. Think about Lieutenant Bark. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.